Welcome back to TechSearch News, where we bring you the latest in the world of science and technology. Over the last 60 years, plastic has been a major part of our manufacturing sector. It was built to last, and it did. It has spread to the point where it can now be found all over the planet, even within our bodies. The problem is that we haven't been able to find a more environmentally friendly solution to this contaminating threat. But what if the workaround to the plastic crisis could be found in something as simple as seaweed? Could seaweed be the next generation of plastic? Let's see if we can reach an agreement on this. Unfortunately, we can't wish our way out of the issue, so we must find another solution to our unified plastic fixation. Our consumer culture is built on long-lasting plastic pillars. Those pillars, however, are progressively sinking into a liquid foundation, aka the ocean. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is not, however, the only place to look for plastic. As strange as it may sound, tiny shreds of microplastic were discovered on the summit of Mount Everest, the highest peak on the planet. It's in the Mariana Trench, too, the ocean's deepest point. If that isn't enough to worry you, scientists have discovered them in human blood as well. Scientists are concerned that these microplastic particles will enter our veins and can't tell for sure whether this will also affect the functioning of vital organs. While we wait for the possibly disconcerting answer to that question, you might have another. Don't we already recycle plastic? The answer is somewhat complicated because it is dependent on the type of plastic in question. Sadly, recycling the majority of the plastic we create and use is not financially viable. Not even China, which ended the useless plastic recycling cycle in 2018. So, what are we to do? One alternative is to feed microbes plastic. Researchers have been working on creating a plastic buffet. But how does that work? They've discovered a bacteria that thrives on polyethylene terephthalate. They can effortlessly break it down into its components, terephthalate and ethylene glycol. However, for this procedure to be successful, the broken down materials must have a useful application. While EG has been used for years as a car antifreeze, TPA has been rendered ineffective until a few months ago when scientists discovered a recipe for a TPA-greedy enzyme that decomposes TPA. This enzyme research is gradually leading to commercial production. Carbios, a French company, is expanding its enzymatic PET recyclability. Carbios formed a partnership in Dorama Ventures to build the world's first industrial-scale PET biorecycling plant after displaying their innovation on a pilot scale. Each year, their enzymes will consume the equivalent of 2 billion PET bottles. They claim that their technology can repeatedly upcycle PET elements into high-quality, 100% reusable new PET products. That certainly sounds like a better diet for the planet than what we're currently providing. Other than plastic-eating microorganisms, there are ready-to-eat alternatives such as fungus. Since 2006, Ecovative has been converting fungi into cheaper, greener, and possibly tastier foams than polystyrene-based foams. Their production has increased over time due to a 12% reduction in energy consumption and a 90% reduction in carbon footprint. That's where another alternative comes in: seaweed. There are two primary reasons why seaweed could be a viable replacement for plastic. For starters, its sourcing is more environmentally friendly. When compared to land plants, seaweed uses less water, grows 10 times faster, and occupies less than 10% of the space required by those crops. Converting land-based plants into plastic-free utensils will also have an impact on food production. Instead, seaweed will not endanger food security. Aside from sustainability, there is a practical aspect. Seaweed contains an oily substance that may function similarly to petroleum-derived oil. A slew of startup companies have accepted the seaweed's potential and are now attempting to ride its slimy wave. Yulu, an Australian startup, has begun converting seaweed into biopolymers after raising $1.3 million in. More precisely, polyhydroxyalkanoates. Aside from the amusing names, Yuli claims that their materials are as strong as plastic and biodegradable even in the deepest and coldest parts of the ocean. According to studies, PHAs fully degrade in about 2 months under conventional conditions, which is a considerable improvement over traditional plastic. which can last for centuries in the worst case scenario. Yulu is collecting seaweed from an Indonesian farm with the support of the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization. The harvested seaweed is first reduced down into biobricks, including sugars, which are then derived and tossed into a microfilled tank to ferment. Making PHAs from seaweed-derived sugars would be more environmentally friendly than using corn-based glucose, which is pretty standard feedstock used, because corn is a water-intensive crop that takes up a lot of land. Yulu, on the other hand, only requires microbes and seawater. Because seaweed absorbs CO2 while growing in the ocean, their material will be carbon negative. PHAs could be used in a variety of packaging materials, including foams, boxes, and films. The good news is that we may see the Yulu product soon, as the startup plans to open their first production plant in 2023, while Yulu seaweed-based products are just getting started. Naplast is already riding the wave. The edible seaweed pouches filled with an energy drink were provided by the UK-based startup for the London Marathon in 2019. Their OHO capsules quenched the thirst of over 40,000 runners while saving 200,000 single-use plastic bottles from ending up in a landfill. But it's not just about water. You could put a variety of other liquids in their sachets. You name it. Ketchup, cocktails, salad dressing. Consider this in the place of tiny little ketchup packets commonly found in fast food restaurants. Naplast is attempting to make packaging literally disappear. How are they doing it? Their research team created a machine that combines brown seaweed with other plants and then produces tasty membranes. They'll be gone in less than 6 weeks in your backyard composter or anything else. Aside from the pouches, Naplast developed a plastic-free takeaway box liner. This checked all the boxes for Just Eat, who tested and possibly tasted it as well. In 2021 alone, the UK used 30,000 biodegradable to-go food containers. Naplast's $13.5 million raised in December 2021 will allow their boxes to deliver meals to individuals in other European countries as well. Sway is the market leader in single-use plastic bags. The California startup won the Beyond the Bag Challenge in 2021 and received $2.5 million to expand the production of their seaweed-based bags. Sway creates eco-friendly bags from kelp. This massive seaweed is mostly found in deep water. Because they are located away from the coast, these underground forests are less likely to be distressed, allowing them to store CO2 for a longer period of time. They can capture 20 times as much carbon as trees. In addition to being carbon negative, Sway material is easily scalable because it fits into an already existing plastic distribution chain. The biotech firm is developing home compostable bags in collaboration with the Compost Manufacturing Alliance. Many of the recyclable bags available today, such as sandwich bags, are only completely biodegradable through industrial applications, not at home in your backyard. Furthermore, Sway only sources kelp from farms that adhere to the Aquaculture Stewardship Council guidelines. In other words, their harvest will have no negative impact on the ocean or its ecosystems. The startup is currently developing pilots with various retailers and hopes to intensify their output within the next few months. Straws, along with bags, have been the primary targets of plastic bans in recent years. Unlike soggy paper options, Lollyware created an extraordinary product, a blue carbon straw. They developed their sea technology to replace plastic with seaweed after being inspired by the ocean's stored carbon, also known as blue carbon, thus the product name. They pulverize their seaweed from the ocean and combine it with vibrantly colored minerals and shell granules. The vegan soup byproduct is then passed through an extruder to create a plastic-free pellet. Their pellets can then be shaped through conventional plastic manufacturing machinery. This, like Sway, lowers the cost of their finished product by leveraging current facilities. Even so, their cost is slightly greater than that of plastic straws. To avoid competition from China, the startup teamed up with the American manufacturer Sinclair and Rush in 2020 to ramp up the first US-based production of seaweed straws. Their straws, in addition to being made of 100% bio-based FDA-approved substances, will degrade in a home compost bin. Clearly, seaweed appears to be an interesting material for permanently replacing plastic. However, we must keep in mind that algae-based products are still in their infancy in comparison to the mature plastic standard, whose production has been streamlined over the last 6 decades. Seaweed packaging then is still more expensive than plastic because it is still a new market. According to Coherent Market Insights, 1 ton of edible film can cost up to $3,600. The high price of production may stymie the growth of Nopla packaging and similar products over the next 6 years. Although, according to some experts, the price of seaweed packaging will decline as more businesses move it to the market. Aside from simplicity, algae-based packaging may fall short of the exceptional plastic durability and strength. Take, for example, Nopla's edible capsules. While useful, those sachets can easily burst when transported. Because of plastic restrictions, the market for seaweed-based packaging is expected to grow at a 16% annual rate over the next 5 years. However, seaweed alone is unlikely to satisfy our desire for eco-friendly packaging. This relates to the current constraints and expenses of seaweed farming. Currently, the majority of the world's algae products come from labor-intensive farms in Asia's shallow coastlines. Labor accounts for 50% of total output. Unfortunately, due to low automation and an inadequate infrastructure, increasing algae production to offshore locations is still not cost-effective when compared to land-based agriculture. Surprisingly, we may be able to alleviate ocean plastic pollution by tapping into a renewable ocean source. A flood of startups has been floating exciting seaweed-based packaging concepts as a result of recent investments. Nonetheless, we will need to upgrade our algae farming techniques in order to meet the demands for eco-friendly packaging in a sustainable manner. Meanwhile, we could supplement our plastic-free diet with other organic substances such as mushrooms and corn. It appears that we will not see a single solution to our plastic problem, but rather a collection of concepts and goods that could wean us off of our plastic dependency. Are you still undecided? Do you believe seaweed will be the plastic of the future? That is all we have for today, and if you enjoyed the video, why don't you give us a like and subscribe to TechSurge News to hear the latest in the world of science and technology. Don't forget to hit the bell button below to get notifications on when we post next. Thank you for staying till the end of the video and hope you enjoyed. TechSurge News signing out.